Hello, I'm Ruth Druart and I used to be a teacher at Marymount. I taught 5th grade for about 12 years and then I taught in middle school, I taught science to 6th grade and I taught EAL as well. And I've just written a book called While Paris Slept, which is coming out very shortly. It comes out in hardback on March the 4th. It took me 18 years to write this book and I'd like to talk about this with you today. I think I've always had a book in me. I've always loved reading. I love stories and the power of stories and working out why characters do what they do, and then when they do something you don't expect, why did they do that? It's all intriguing. So yes, I think I always wanted to write a book. And then one day, when I was 33 exactly, I came up with a brilliant idea for a story. I knew it was a good story, but I didn't really know how to write. And that's where the writing journey began. I went to lots of writing workshops. I joined writing groups here in Paris, and gradually I learned how to write better. I also learnt through teaching creative writing to 11-year-olds teaches you a lot about how to write. And they do say the best way to learn something is to teach it. And I think I learnt a lot at Marymount. Well, actually, when I came to Paris in 1993, I didn't know a thing about World War II. And I became interested in it because Paris is full of reminders that World War II happened here not that long ago. Plaques on walls, remembering Jewish families who've been taken away, plaques on walls where resistance fighters had been killed. And I became very interested in what happened during the occupation in Paris, how people lived daily with the enemy. And I began to read books around the subject, a lot of fiction, and then I moved on to non-fiction. And this was even before I knew I wanted to write a book about this time. And actually the story came to me, and then I thought this story would be a perfect story to be set in World War II during the occupation. And then I carried on researching. I spent a lot of time researching, yes. I didn't interview anyone actually. I read a lot of personal accounts of people that had survived the Holocaust, that had survived the death camps, and families that had been through the occupation in Paris, living with the Germans alongside them. But no, I didn't interview anyone personally. That's a really interesting question because I don't think I could have written this book if I hadn't had my own children in a culture that wasn't my own. The theme that runs through the book is sense of belonging, and this is something that has interested me a lot since having children in another country, where they have grown up with different values in a way. Different culture means different values, a different language, they've gone to school in another culture, and it's all very enriching, but it can bring its problems too. And so I became very interested in this, and then when I started working away at Marymount, I was surrounded by children and teachers coming from all over the world, children that had lived in many different cultures. And I think it's a very interesting topic. And I did go on to complete a Master's in International Education, where I looked at third culture kids and their sense of belonging. That was very interesting research. I interviewed children at Marymount to find out where their sense of belonging came from. And it was all so positive and encouraging. And like I said, this is a theme that runs through the book. I love writing, actually. I didn't know how to write when I started writing this story, but I have come to love writing, I really do. And so yes, I want to write another book, and I am writing another book because I had a 2-book deal anyway. They don't just want one book, they want 2 books. So I'm working, should be finished by May, and then it should be out in 2022. It's also set in Paris during the occupation. Reading for pleasure is so important. You have to enjoy it, otherwise why would you want to read anything? So So to get into a story, I think you have to relate to the characters, be interested in what's going to happen to them. And I think when children read fiction, they learn so much about how people behave, why they do the things they do, and it's a lesson in life. Reading is learning about life. I think we read to learn about people that aren't like us. That's always very interesting, to learn about people that come from different places, from different times in history. I would much rather learn about history by reading a story than just learning the facts. In fact, I don't think that's what matters so much. I don't think it's the flowery language that makes a story. You have to start with a good story and then you find a way to tell it in your voice. And it doesn't mean you have to use long, complicated phrases or words, but realistic dialogue, realistic characters. It's the things your characters do, the things they say, the things they wear. These are what makes a good story. And whatever your level of English, if you have a good story, you'll find a way to tell it. I think I already mentioned, but it took me 18 years to write this book. And so my parting advice to you would be persevere with your dream. If you really want to do something and you're prepared to work hard, because I did work hard, you will get there.